events from various years. AD 1, the accepted year of Jesus' birth as calculated by Dionysius Exiguus in AD 525. The more probable date is now considered to be 4 or possibly 6 BC. The king of the Trainophantes tribe in southern England, Damaris, dies and is succeeded by Dubnovelinus. If there's many more of these big words, this is going to be a very complicated whisper. 6 AD. Chinese initiate civil service examinations for prospective politicians. 12 AD. Gaius Caesar, later nicknamed Caligula, meaning little boots, is born. 16 AD. An attempt to overthrow Tiberius is thwarted when a slave of Agrippa Postumus, named Clemens, is killed. 19 AD. Tiberius's nephew, Germanicus, is poisoned in Syria, possibly by Gnaeus Calpurnicus, Piso, the governor of Syria. 26 AD. Pontius Pilate becomes the 5th Roman procurator of Judea and Samaria. 30 AD. Jesus of Nazareth is crucified at Golgotha. Dionysius Exiguus, the inventor of the Christian calendar, wrongly dated the birth of Jesus according to the Roman system, i.e. 754 years after the founding of Rome. 39 AD. Caligula puts down a conspiracy by the governor of Higher Germany, Gaetulicus. 43 AD. The Romans, on the orders of Claudius, invade Britain. 50 AD. Claudius adopts his stepson Nero. 55 AD. Britannicus, son of Claudius, dies, possibly poisoned by Nero. I wonder, was anything happening in the rest of the world that didn't include Rome? 67 AD. The Jews rise up against the Romans. 73 AD. Chinese forces under General Ban Chao gain control over the Oasis states. After a 2-year siege, the fortress of Masada in Judea falls to the Romans. 76 AD. Johanan ben Zakkai re-establishes the Sanhedrin, the Jewish religious court. 79 AD. Vesuvius erupts, destroying Pompeii and the neighbouring towns of Herculaneum and Stabae. Pliny the Elder is one of the victims. occupied by the Romans. 120 AD. Construction of the Pantheon in Rome is begun. 122 AD. Construction of Hadrian's Wall is begun. 123 AD. Emperor Hadrian meets the king of Parthia, thus averting war. I thought the Romans liked war. 128 AD. The Greek physician Galen is born. 139 AD. The Romans advanced northwards under Governor Quintus Lollius Rubicus from Hadrian's Wall to the Clyde Forth line. 177 AD. Persecution of Christians recommences in Rome. They adopt the fish symbol as an emblem of their faith. 193 AD. Pertinax is chosen as emperor by the Senate, but his strict rule leads to his assassination. Didius Julianus becomes emperor after an auction, but has already been deposed and killed by the time that Septimius Severus, the Pannonian legate, invades Rome and is declared emperor. I have to admit, I kind of lost interest halfway through that one. Too many big words and silly names. 200 AD. Japanese Empress Jingu sends a fleet to invade Korea, which surrenders on sight of it. 209 AD. Roman legions under Severus and Caracalla march against the Caledoni, advancing as far as Aberdeen. Forts built on firths of Forth and Tay. 216 AD. Britannia is divided into two provinces, Upper Britain, south and west, and Lower Britain, north. That kind of makes no sense. assassinated by the Praetorian Guard. Why did the Praetorian Guard kill so many leaders? Jordanius' grandson, Jordanius III, becomes emperor. 248 AD. Games are held to celebrate Rome's millennium. 255 AD. Plague sweeps across Europe. 257 AD. The Goths move into the Black Sea area. 269 AD. The Goths invade the Balkans, sacking Athens, Sparta, and Corinth, but are defeated in battle by Claudius II. 274 AD. A rebellion at Chalon is put down by Aurelian, who returns to Rome in triumph. 275 AD. The Romans pull back to the Danube and Rhine, which are established as the empire's frontier. Aurelian is assassinated by his officers. Again, why do they kill their own people? And Tacitus succeeds him as emperor. Fantastic. 290 AD. Construction begins on the amphitheatre in Verona. 301 AD. Christianity proclaimed the state religion in Armenia. Yeah, because Armenia is really important. 306 AD. Constantius Chlorus dies near York. His son Constantine is proclaimed emperor, but Galerius raises Severus instead. Raises him how? I don't know. 313. Christianity tolerated in the Roman Empire by the Edict of Milan. 330 AD. Constantinople, formerly Byzantium, known today as Istanbul, is dedicated as the new capital of the Roman Empire. 338 AD. Jewish calendar reformed by establishing variable year lengths. Why? How? How can you have variable year lengths? It makes no sense. 356 AD. All pagan temples in the Roman Empire ordered closed by Constantius II. 360 AD. Lodzen finds the caves of the 1,000 Buddhas in Gansu, China. The Huns invade Europe for the first time. 367 AD. Picts, Scots, Angles, and Saxons invade Britain in a joint attack. Okay. 372 AD. Buddhism reaches Korea from China. 376 AD. The Huns invade Russia and defeat the Visigoths. From now on, tribes pushed westward by the Huns press harder into the Roman Empire. 386 AD. Hymn singing introduced by St. Ambrose, Bishop of Milan. 388 AD. Maximus invades Italy to be defeated by Theodosius and murdered. Valentinian II established in power in the West. The West of where? 391 AD. The library at Alexandria is destroyed in a fire started by a Christian mob seeking to eradicate non-Christian works. See these religious people. 401 AD. The Visigoths invade northern Italy. 411 AD. Constantine III, defeated and executed by troops loyal to Honorius. Pelagius calls on St. Augustine at Hippo, but Augustine refuses to see him. Maybe he was busy. 412 AD. The Visigoths enter Gaul from Italy and establish a kingdom there. 415 AD. Neoplatonist philosopher Hypatia is killed in Alexandria by a Christian mob who scraped her to death with oyster shells. God, I'm glad I picked that year. How do you scrape someone to death with oyster shells? 418 AD. The Franks enter Gaul and settle. 420 AD. Nanjing becomes the capital of northern China once more. Eastern Qin state in China is overthrown by its general Li Yu, who founds the Li Song state. Saint Jerome dies. 425 AD. Constantinople University founded. Go Tigers! 431 AD. Council of Ephesus deposes Patriarch Nestorius of Constantinople for his belief that Jesus had two natures, one human and one divine. 432 AD. St. Patrick sent as a missionary to Ireland. 433 AD. Attila becomes co-ruler of the Huns. 441 AD. Britain invaded by Angles, Saxons and Jutes. 444 AD. The wheelbarrow developed in China. 446 AD. Britain told to fend for itself when it appeals to Rome for help against barbarian invaders. 452 AD. Venice founded by refugees from the Huns. 453 AD. Death of Attila on his wedding night. What was he doing? 455 AD. The Vandals sack Rome. 460 AD. The Roman fleet destroyed by the Vandals of Cartagena. 474 AD. Leo I dies to be succeeded by his son-in-law, Zeno. 4 537 AD, Sussex founded by El, who lands with his sons at Selsey. 484 AD, Armenia revolts successfully against the Persians, led by Vahan Mamikonian. Freedom of religious worship was restored to them by the Treaty of Versailles. 491 AD, Zeno dies, to be succeeded by Anastasius, who marries his widow. The South Saxons under El capture Pevensey Castle. 500 AD, the Marcomanni invade Bavaria from Bohemia, which is settled by the Czechs. Incense is added to Christian services to cover the smell of unwashed worshippers. So that's why they have incense. It's not because it's expensive. It's not because it smells nice. It's to cover up the smell of smelly people. 516 AD. The British comprehensively defeat the Saxons at Mons Botanicus. 517 AD. Emperor Wudi introduces Buddhism to Central China. 522 AD. The philosopher and statesman Boethius arrested on a charge of conspiring against Theodoric. 525 AD. Yemen invaded by Abyssinians under Caleb. Dionysius Egitus wrongly sets the date of Christ's birth as 25th December in the 753rd year of Rome. 528 AD. Hun King Grod converted to Christianity and was killed. The Korean state of Silla officially recognized Buddhism. 530 AD. The Great Byzantine general Belisarius defeats the Persians at Dara. King Hilderic of the Vandals dies, to be succeeded by Gelimer. 532 AD. Burgundy invaded by the Franks. 536 AD. Belisarius takes Rome from the Ostrogoths. 539 AD. Witigis, leader of the Ostrogoths, is captured by Belisarius at Ravenna. Belisarius recalled to Constantinople. 542 AD. The Welsh monk Gildas writes De Exitio e Conquesto Britanniae, a history of the Roman conquest and Anglo-Saxon invasion of Britain. 547 AD. The plague of Justinian reaches Britain. The Angle king Ida accedes to the throne of Bernicia in northeast England. 549 AD. The last games are held in Rome. 553 AD. Rome and Naples annexed by Narses for Byzantium. 563 AD. Foundation of monastery on Iona monster on Loch Ness. Belisarius dies. Justinian I dies and is succeeded by his nephew Justin II. 568 AD. Alboin founds a Lombard kingdom in northern and central Italy. 570 AD. Muhammad born in Mecca. The Persians take the Yemen from the Abyssinians. 571 AD. Foundation of the Kingdom of East Anglia. 572 AD. War breaks out between Persia and Byzantium. 574 AD. Aidan ordained king of the Argyll Scots by Saint Columba. 582 AD. Death of Tiberius II, to be succeeded by his son-in-law Maurus. 583 AD. Wendy moves into the new city of Chang'an, soon to become the world's largest city. 587 AD. The Visigoths convert from Arianism to Catholicism. The first Buddhist monastery is built in Japan. 589 AD. Wendy defeats the Chen at Jiankang and reunites China. Joshua II deposed in Persia, fleeing to Constantinople. 590 AD. Gregory I the Great becomes Pope and undertakes reforms in Rome, as well as helping to expel the plague from the city. 594 AD. The plague of Justinian pandemic comes to an end. Gregory of Tours dies. 596 AD. St. Augustine, dispatched by Pope Gregory to convert Britain. 597 AD. St. Augustine arrives in Kent, converts King Ethelbert, and founds the Archdiocese of Canterbury. 612 AD. Harsha of Thanissar takes the title of Emperor of the Five Indies. St. Gall founds the Hermitage, later a monastery of St. Gallen in Switzerland. 615 AD. Jerusalem sacked by the Persians, who take the true cross as booty. 622 AD. In July, Muhammad flees from Mecca to Medina, the Hijra, from which the Islamic calendar year 1 is dated. 626 AD. Chinese Emperor Gaozu abdicates in favor of his son Taizong. 627 AD. The Byzantines decisively defeat the Persians at Nineveh. 633 AD. Edwin of Northumbria killed by Mercian Welsh forces at Hatfield. They proceed to ravage the kingdom, which splits back in two. 635 AD. Islamic forces take Damascus, which becomes the capital of the Caliphate. Harsha invades the land of the Chalukyas, but is repulsed. 641 AD. The great library at Alexandria is destroyed in a fire. 649 AD. Cyprus falls to Islamic forces. 653 AD. The Visigothic king, Resithwenth of Spain, draws up a legal code for his domains, the Liber Judicorum. 657 AD. Mercia released from Northumbrian rulership. Wulfhere, son of Benda, becomes king. 664 AD. The English Church adopts the Roman liturgy in preference to the Irish at the Synod of Whitby. 668 AD. Emperor Constans II dies mysteriously in his bath at Syracuse. 671 AD. The weapon Greek fire, an inflammable liquid that could be propelled through bronze tubes, invented by Galenicus of Byzantium. 678 AD. After several years' siege, the Arabs failed to take Constantinople and establish a 30-year peace with the Byzantine Empire. 690 AD. Withred becomes king of Kent. 696 AD. Paluccio Anafesto is appointed the first dog of Venice. 697 AD. Carthage destroyed by the Arabs. 701 AD. The Japanese emperor passes a law making him the sole proprietor of land in the country. 713 AD. Emperor Philippicus deposed and replaced by Anastasius II. 718 AD. Constantinople fights off the Arab siege. Greek fire is spectacularly used to decimate the Arab fleet. 722 AD. Saint Boniface made the first bishop amongst the Germans. 730 AD. Emperor Leo III, excommunicated by Pope Gregory II over his iconoclastic policies, which forbid making images of Christ, the Virgin Mary, or the saints. 731 AD. Bede completes his ecclesiastical history of the English people. 737 AD. Death of King Theodoric IV of Francia. 741 AD. The death of Charles Martel, who divides his mayoralty between his sons Charlemagne in Neustria and Pepin in Austrasia. Now it means nothing to me either. 746 AD. Constantine V retakes Cyprus from the Arabs. Charlemagne retires to a monastery, leaving Pepin as mayor of all of Francia. 748 AD. The first printed newspaper published in what is now Beijing. 757 AD. Offa succeeds Ethelbald as King of Mercia after the latter's murder. 762 AD. Caliph Mansur founds Baghdad as capital of the Abbasid Caliphate. 765 AD. China invaded by a Tibetan army. 770 AD. Death of the poet Tu Fu. 771 AD. Charlemagne dies. Kingdom reunited under Charlemagne. 772 AD. Charlemagne invades and subdues Saxony. 773 AD. Charlemagne invades and subdues Lombardy. 774 AD. Charlemagne confirms the donation of Pepin, a grant of lands made by his father to Pope Stephen II in 757, which creates the Papal States. 776 AD. Kent gains temporary independence from Mercia as a result of winning the Battle of Otford. 780 AD. On the death of her husband, Leo IV, the Empress Irene becomes regent of the Byzantine Empire and restores image worship. 782 AD. Charlemagne executes 4,500 Saxon hostages at Verdun and annexes Saxony. That wasn't nice. 785 AD. Widukind submits to Charlemagne and is baptized. 788 AD. Charlemagne annexes Bavaria, deposing Duke Tassilo. 793 AD. Lindisfarne and Jarrow sacked by the Vikings. 795 AD. The first Viking attacks on Ireland. 798 AD. Revolt in Kent against Mercian rule, subdued by King Cenwulf, who blinds the Kentish royal leader Eadbert and cuts off his hands. 800 AD. Charlemagne crowned Holy Roman Emperor on Christmas Day. 804 AD. Charlemagne finally defeats the Saxons. 812 AD. Byzantine Empire recognizes Charlemagne as emperor in the West. 817 AD. Louis the Pious partitions the Holy Roman Empire amongst his sons and makes Lothar, his eldest son, co-emperor. 821 AD. Tibetan independence from China ratified by treaty at Chang'an. 826 AD. Islamic pirates capture Crete and use it as a base for raids in the Aegean. Nomino becomes Count of Brittany. 833 AD. Louis the Pious defeated by his elder sons at Calmar and imprisoned. 842 AD. regency of his mother, Theodora, image worship is restored. 845 AD. Buddhism is suppressed in China by Emperor Ruizong. 849 AD. The birth of Alfred the Great of Wessex at Wantage.